So I was just editing my Big Meaty Hooks tier list, and I see that there's an announcement. I was about to go to Conor McGregor's page to get a photo of him hitting one of the big round pads while he's listening to house music, and I see Jamahal Hill versus Khalil Rountree for International Fight Week. That's barely over 2 months. I don't know if that's enough time. My initial reaction is actually, who the heck do you guys think Khalil Rountree is? Because I'm looking at a lot of these comments, and people are just nonchalantly saying things like, Khalil eats him alive. Second loss in a row, man. Damn, unfortunately, Hill's on a losing streak already. Jamahal Hill is taking a huge step down in competition here. I think that people think of Khalil Rountree the way that people thought of Jamahal Hill before he fought Alex Pereira. Those people that were picking Jamahal Hill, that's the same style of thinking they have with Khalil Rountree. They see the finishes, they see the highlights, but they don't see what happens in between. They don't see the decisions. They don't see the tit for tats. They don't see the fact that he went to a close war with Anthony Smith up until the final round where he rocked him and hurt him badly and knocked him out. I'm not saying he wasn't winning the fight against Anthony Smith. What I'm saying is a week's notice Anthony Smith out of shape gave Khalil Rountree a war, and Khalil Rountree was too stupid to even kick his legs. Okay? What kind of fight IQ is that? You got a guy in there with the worst leg kick defense in the upper weight classes, and you don't even kick his legs, and you're Mr. Muay Thai? You're Mr. Chop Down a Tree? Khalil Rountree is not who you guys think he is. He is a good fighter. He's a dangerous fighter. He's one of the most entertaining fighters. But I think that this is a big step down in competition. He is nowhere near the level of Alex Pereira. I know that Full Violence constantly posts about him and talks about Khalil Rountree as, hear me out. What about this fight? Him and Pereira, though. It might never happen. If it does, fair enough. I can't wait to fucking see it. But I know fighters can improve. I get it. But this dude lost to Marcin Prachnio. He lost to Dustin Jacoby, and that was, what, a year ago? Like, let's not forget that was pretty recent. I know he got his hand raised. It was a total robbery. And he doesn't always knock people down. And he's not always just this guy where everything he lands is putting his opponents out, and his low kicks are, on a totally different level. He's kind of turning into Justin Gaethje, where against Eric Anders and some of his earlier fights, when he first started that like heavy Muay Thai style, he would throw a lot more low kicks. But nowadays, he's like sneaking them in, right? He's like more technical about them, and he sneaks them in a little bit more technically. And it's actually much less effective because it's like a big meaty hook. It's like, you turn that shit technical, the next thing you know, you're Jack Hermanson with it. And there's not the same kind of sting on it, all right? Now, I'm just kind of joking around with that, but the point that I'm making is he's not as effective with the low kicks as people think. He doesn't throw them as much. Jamahal Hill's got phenomenal kicks. We just didn't really get to see a whole lot of it because he only fought Pereira for a couple of minutes. But his kicks, in my opinion, are better than Khalil Rountree. His boxing, it's not better than Khalil Rountree, fair enough, but he's got a longer reach. He's faced higher levels of competition. His wins over Glover Teixeira are a whole lot better than Khalil Rountree's best win over the guy that got his teeth knocked out by Glover Teixeira, all right, on a week's notice. So let's pipe down about this whole Khalil Rountree's just going to smoke him or whatever. In any normal circumstance, I would pick Jamahal Hill. Any normal circumstance. The thing that makes this tricky is that he did get knocked out, okay? And although he didn't get flatlined by the left hook itself, he was kind of dazed, right? He was kind of in a dazed state, and then he got some big meaty hammer fists that followed it up. So he did go out all the way, but here's the saving grace. A lot of young fighters, and Jamahal, I believe, is only 30, 31. And at this point in his career, that's still early in his career for a light heavyweight. A lot of guys get KO'd early on in their career, and they still have good chins. They still have granite chins. Now, yes, 2 months out, that's a bit of an issue. That's a bit of an issue. And for my favorite fighters, I would hate it. And I do like Jamahal Hill. But the fact that this is the saltiest fighter in the UFC, the fact that he wakes up in the morning and he runs on a salt-only diet, I honestly think that the chin is going to hold up. I think that we're going to figure out that Alex Pereira's left hook is literally just built different, okay? Look at Yuri Prochazka. I know that it was more than 2 months since he got early stoppaged by Alex Pereira. Credit to Mark Goddard. But either way, Yuri Prochazka took the biggest bombs imaginable against Alexander Rakic, who was putting absolutely everything into these shots. And his chin held up. But against Alex Pereira, one clean left hook and he's on his ass, right? Khalil Rountree doesn't have that left hook of Alex Pereira. It's hard for him to land the bomb that puts people out because he is a little bit of a shorter guy in those weight classes and he doesn't have the craziest reach. And again, he's not this like next level striker that we've never seen before. It's just that his highlights are really cool because when he has someone hurt, he tends to get them out of there. But I actually think that Jamahal Hill, if he doesn't get lit up, like if he just gets hit with a couple of clean shots, he's not going to go out. And I think he's going to win this fight. And I also think he's going to outdog Khalil Rountree, who has also been finished before, okay? And also doesn't always show up the aggressor he needs to be. There are some Khalil Rountree fights where he's not the aggressive guy that's going after it, that's always looking for a finish, that's in his opponent's face. I've seen many Khalil Rountree fights that are frustrating where he's just kind of backing up and doing a whole bunch of nothing. Sort of like his fight against Marcin Prachnio where, again, it was kind of a lackluster performance and I expected a lot more. All right? But again, 2 months, I don't know. And I guarantee you that's because Jamahal Hill is probably the most clowned fighter since Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley that's been KO'd and clowned afterwards. I don't remember seeing anyone that's been clowned this much after a KO. And I know it's because Jamahal Hill was, loud and brash in the build up to this. God forbid he actually wants to sell the fight a little bit and thinks he could win. But the Pereira fans are saying shit like, dude, how dare you discredit Pereira's skill set? What, by saying he's going to knock his ass out and beat the dog shit out of him? That's what he should be saying. But either way, Jamahal Hill has a loud, brash personality, which is one of the things that I actually think makes him likable. People don't like him. I get it, but he's one of my favorite fighters. I think he's entertaining. I think his style is great. But with all the memes that I'm seeing, the whole like Jamahal Hill playing a trumpet thing on the way down with the Andrew Tate style of music, I think that's kind of pissing him off. And I could totally see why he wants to jump in there again while the salt kind of saturates a little bit and all that. But still, I think that definitely plays a part because he does not want to deal with that for that long and he wants to change the narrative as soon as possible. So I totally understand why he wants to get in there as soon as possible. People are saying, fire the manager, fire the manager. It ain't the manager, dude. It's Jamahal Hill being salty and he wants it back. He wants to get back in the win column because he hates people clowning him. And I get it. So respect to Jamahal Hill for giving us an amazing fight. And you know what? Now that this fight is on UFC 303 International Fight Week, I'm guessing they may have had something planned for Khalil Rountree already because, it was kind of put together randomly, this fight. It was very unexpected, out of left field. I bet that they were planning a Khalil Rountree fight anyway, okay? And what that means to me is there's probably another opponent that they were looking for that they may end up pairing with Jiri Prochazka. So this is what I want. I want the UFC to put Jiri Prochazka and Jan Blachowicz on this card as well. I want 2 light heavyweight number 1 contenders fights, similar to the Gaethje versus Max fight and the Arman versus Charles fight. And whoever has the better performance and comes out with less damage should get the next title shot. If it's Rountree or if it's Jiri. I still feel weird about Jan Blachowicz getting a title shot after one more win because he literally already fought the champion. All right. Unless it's Magomed because there's a little bit of a storyline there. And for Jamahal, you can't give him a title fight if he just beats one guy after he got knocked out in like 2 minutes. So if it's Khalil Rountree that wins and takes hardly any damage and knocks Hill out, I think he should get the title fight against Alex Pereira. And if it is Jiri Prochazka that beats Jan Blachowicz, that would be 2 wins in a row since he got finished by Alex Pereira. And I still think that fight, because they're like Mortal Kombat characters and there was the early stoppage that kind of creates a little bit of controversy, I think that's a really good fight to make. We're always going to want to see Jiri versus Alex Pereira. So I think I want to see both of those fights on this card. And the fact that this is kind of an out of left field fight to make, that leads me to believe that this was not even on their priority list for this card. And they're probably going to stack the hell out of it. I don't think it's going to be UFC 300 stacked, where Garbrandt and Figgy are the type of guys opening up the early prelims, but maybe they'll be on the prelims. Okay? And please, UFC, do not give us a WMMA co-main event. Okay? You can give us Kayla Harrison. You could give us Juliana Pena. You could strip Raquel Pennington. We don't need her to be the champion anymore. Just make a title fight between Pena and Harrison and just don't have it on this card. Okay? But please, let's keep UFC 303 entertaining fights after entertaining fights. And you know what? I think the UFC light heavyweight division, top 5, is the most entertaining division in the UFC. And I'm not talking about, the state of the division being super competitive and there being, arguable future Hall of Famers that haven't gotten their title fights yet, like Corey Sandhagen and Merab. It's not entertaining in that sense, even though it is kind of entertaining still. What I mean is the actual fights themselves at 205 pounds in the top 5 are more entertaining than any other top 5. More entertaining than lightweight, because although I love Charles and Armand grappling, it's never going to be as entertaining as Yuri Prohaska and Alexander Rakic going to war on the stand-up, okay? It's never going to be as entertaining as Jamahal Hill and Alex Pereira striking it out, okay? Or Khalil Rountree and Jamahal Hill. And because the light heavyweights are also really big and every shot that they land is going to be impactful and there's a lot of wars and all of these guys for the most part are strikers, you couldn't have a better weight class and a better top 5 right now. So give us 2 light heavyweight bangers. Jamahal Hill, Khalil Rountree, and give us Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Prohaska all on the main card and have him open up the main card. The feature fight should be even better than these fights. And the co-main event, maybe make a title fight. Put O'Malley on this fucker. All right, well, why do we have to wait so long? Do O'Malley and Merab. All right, let's stop bullshitting around. Stack the heck out of it. And again, I know it's a little bit early for Jamahal Hill, I get it. But look at Dustin Poirier. Got finished by Eddie Alvarez back in the day. I know it wasn't counted as a TKO, but seen as a guy with a granite chin towards the end of his career before he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. He had been finished by Conor too. Look at Alex Pereira. I know he hasn't been hit that much throughout his career since he lost to Adesanya, but he got brutally KO'd, turned around pretty quickly. Yes, he was moving up a weight class. It's a little bit different, fair enough. But still, took some good shots from Yuri. Took some good shots from Blachowicz, and he's been totally fine. So it can be done. It can be done. 2 months is kind of crazy, though, because I believe Alex Pereira's turnaround was like 3 months from fighting Izzy to fighting Jan Blachowicz, or 3.5 months. But I have a feeling Jamahal Hill gets it done. I really do. I think that the salt that he has in his system right now, from seeing the memes and seeing the edits and just seething and coping and seething and coping and heading to the shift at the salt mines, I honestly think that Jamahal Hill is going to be motivated like you've never seen him. And I think that Khalil Rountree, who, let's be honest, he can be the timid scaredy cat. He can sort of be a bit of a head case in the cage where he doesn't fight as the aggressor as he is in his finishing sequences. I could see Jamahal Hill breaking him. And so I'm going to pick Jamahal Hill. It's going to be risky, but I'm picking Jamahal Hill. And I absolutely love the fact that he's getting in there because, of course, he wants to right the wrong. He wants to change the narrative, and he's tired of being clowned. And also, take it easy on the man. Like, again, the Pereira fans acting like Jamahal Hill, dude, he talked a load of shit. He talked a load of shit. He didn't really talk that much shit. Like, he was saying he's going to beat the dog shit out of Pereira. He was going to say, I'm going to knock you out, and he held up the head. Fair enough, but that's competitive banter. That's showmanship. That's not, like, super disrespectful. But whatever. I guess he's loud and a little bit brash, and people just don't always like that. So that's totally understandable. Either way, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you think is going to win? And I'm going to do a card builder for International Fight Week very soon. Big Meaty Hooks tier list coming tomorrow.